Hello, Vanakkam, and welcome to Sudarshan's podcast. I'm Sudarshan, the host. So it's been an almost a year, I guess, and I joined a early stage startup. So took a year to set up things there, set up things going, and yep. After the year, coming back, and I'm with Rangarajan Nallappa, who's AVP marketing at Twixer. Hey, Ranga, welcome to the show.
Hey, Sudarshan. How are you?
Awesome, awesome, Ranga. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good too. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for making the time. I think, yeah, we'll do the. I try to take the best out of you in this episode.
Totally. All open. All yours.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So, okay, maybe before we start, we'll give a quick context to the listeners who Rangarajan is, and maybe a quick context about your professional side of things.
Sure. I actually started my career as a techie. I am basically a Chennai boy, born and raised in the middle of Chennai. It's the city, core city. I'm from Kekinagar. Did my schooling, then went on to do my engineering, went on to do my MBA, a regular, very mainstreamed career path. Started as a techie at IBM, then got an opportunity to move into ad ops within the same organization. Then moved out into since 2014-15 I have been with startups. So it's been about good 10 to 11 years in startups. But have been finding it really interesting working with the leaderships, working with different streams of marketing, different industries, different markets across the globe, different GTM motions across your PLGs or SLGs. Or currently, what I'm doing with more of a partner-led GTM where we directly don't sell to customers. We go through partners. It's a completely different GDM motion altogether. Uh, so it's been really interesting journey so far. I love to talk to people. I've had really interesting conversation with a lot of people, marketing minds and business minds. That's why I always love to work in startups where I get an opportunity to talk to my CEOs or the leadership or the founders who could throw in some really interesting ideas. So yeah, so that's why here I am. Sudarshan actually gave me the kind of questions that he thought is going to talk about, or there's topics that we're going to be discussing here. I found that really interesting. So,
Awesome.
so yeah, looking forward to spending the next one.
Yeah. So yeah, when you say that, I gave you a bunch of questions, and one of the answers you gave me is over time when you started as a marketer, you were a bit inclined towards advertising, the copy, the creative there. After that, you told me that you understood you become more impactful and influential when you become that numbers guy, right? So,
Absolutely.
if someone wants to step up and become that number guy, right? What are the few fundamentals they have to learn? Because marketers have this two sides, right? They either artist or a proper business guy. So number guy is like maybe a business guy, right? In that case, yeah. What are the fundamentals, Ranga?
So you're totally right. So there are two parts of the brain, right? The left brain and the right brain, where the left operates more in terms of the analytical part, the maths, the numbers, and the business part of it, where your right brain is more of sorry, the other way around, right? I'm a little confused. Okay, so there's this part of the brain which is more creative, which is more chaotic, which is more idea driven, which is more creative is the right word. So I think finding the right mix is what the key is all about. So when I was initially a techie, then tried to move into marketing. My first step, my first the trigger point which made me move into marketing was a book that I read from Piyush Pandey, The Pandemonium. Recently passed away too. He's been one of the biggest figures in the advertising industry. Then that's the reason why I went on to do my MBA from MICA as well, Mudra Institute of Communication. So my inclination was towards advertising. My ultimate aim one day was to kind of design an ad on the Frankfurt airport. The reason being that has the highest footfalls, and I wanted to be that creative person to put up an ad right there. This was in my early stage of my career.
You
That was
still
like
have
a
that
dream to
aim?
me at that time.
You
Someday, yeah,
okay?
probably, but probably now I will be starting to looking at that as if so many footfalls is happening right there. So how do I measure that? How many people are going to be seeing my ad? How many are going to come to my website or come to my Google about us, or probably search somewhere about the brand or the product or whatever? So my angle or my thoughts or my perspective towards the same dream might have changed. But someday, yeah, I would love to do that too. Yeah, coming back to your question, my career path is where I was more of an advertising guy. So I started my own agency as well, based in Chennai. Then I went on to join Bay Area based agency. I was catering to the big players like
You're working
Facebook,
remotely or
King. I was working from Chennai only. There was an
right, right.
office in Chennai.
Okay.
A Chennai-based firm had acquired that particular agency along with clients and employees as well. So I was their first hire, and I was working with them. So from there, I kind of realized that was a point, not really a point, but more of a phase where I started to realize that if you have to move up your career, you might have to become that numbers guy. You need to be that person who could be more impactful for the organization to the business. So it's important that you have your creative fire or your creative spark happening for you to stay relevant in the market. At the same time, if you have to grow in your career, you need to be that person who could be more impactful in the business, more of a someone who could directly give an impact on the pipeline of the revenue.
Got it.
So that was a phase where I felt, okay, this transition is needed.
Got it. Got it. I mean, if I want to become that person, right?
Hmm.
Yep. In that case, what are the three things you'll tell me?
You want to become that numbers person?
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
So it why not? Totally, totally,
Yeah.
totally fine. It's all up to you. If you're really interested, if you really want to become a numbers guy, you just need to start putting in one thing. One core thing is that you might be with focus. You'll be working on something, right? Probably as simple as a meta ad creative. Okay, say you're working on an ad. So it's going live tomorrow. I have pushed it to live. So the campaign has started. After a week or 2 weeks or whatever time that you have, if you probably could just step back and try to understand the impact your work has created to the business. It could be as small as has the impressions increased from last creative, or the how the clicks have improved, how the CTR has improved, so on and so forth. The basic metrics to the kind of impact it has created to the pipeline. Say, for example, the creatives, once you have worked on the campaigns that have used the new creatives, have contributed so and so percentage, X percentage more than what the previous campaign was doing to the pipeline. That is where you start analyzing your impact of your work on the business or the revenue or the pipeline, whatever the business metric here is. So that will help you understand or put a value to the kind of quality of work that you are doing. So, how is it related? So, how is my creative brain related to this? When I do this, I do something really creative. I have put in my maximum creative work and say, hey, this is going to do really well on Meta, or this is going to be really attractive for my ICP. And you go ahead and start the campaign, but it happens the reverse way. So, this creative, which I thought was the best, actually is not doing really well. But the same creative, when you show it to an artist, would say that this is 100x better than the one which is actually performing well. But is the artist your ICP? That's where you draw the line between the difference between an artist viewing a creative or the creative part of any work, be it your copies or your content or the design or a website design or whatever it is, your ICP viewing your design or a copy or creative work, right? So my ICP, for example, I would be talking to the CEOs and the CBOs and the VPs of sales, whereas my creative work would probably been appreciated by some real good artists who has about 20 years of experience, but in just visual arts.
Got it.
But they are not the ones who's going to be buying my product.
Yeah. Yeah.
So idea here is I wouldn't say three things. I'm just going to compile it to I don't want to like kind of
One linear
quantify
answer.
everything,
Yeah.
but one linear answers which has a lot of complications to it. Like again, thinking like a creative person here, there is no just one answer to it. But thought here is you just need to step back and try to understand the impact or the influence that your creative work has on the business of that.
So, what I'm understanding is do your effort, look at the impact, and next time when you do the effort, align your effort towards the impact. So, that is simply whatever channel you take, do this. And okay, I'm just double clicking on that same question. So, yeah, I mean, looking at numbers is all good. So, you have to communicate that to both up and down so that you can keep your team motivated and also keep your leadership, clear that something is happening, something is going the right path. What do you think? Because you can't go take 20 numbers and give it to your leadership, and it'll be tough for them to understand sometimes, or they don't have time to look at all the 20 numbers and like stitch it together and take insight out of that, right? So how do you do that? Like, I mean, do you have any ritual cadence for that?
Simple thing is that numbers, people say numbers don't lie, right? But they are very perceptive. The reason being, I might look at a set of numbers and come up with the insights or list of outcomes from there. At the same time, when I give the same numbers to you, you might have a different insights out of it, right? So what the company needs is that aligning with the goals or the aims or the targets that we have is what you need to communicate to the leadership. It's not the numbers. I'm not going to go talk to my CEO saying, "Hey, this ad got this many impressions. This ad got this many clicks, and people have this is the bounce rate. This is the number of leads." No, this is this particular campaign. After I have started this is the small change that I did. This is the tweak that we did. This is the kind of influence or the impact it has had on the pipeline. And how are you going to stitch these numbers together and come up with this 4 or 5 points, which is going to be a summary of what your numbers say, right? Same thing with your team as well. When you build your team, you need to make sure that this is beyond just marketing or numbers or the creative part of it. Aligning your team with the company's goals or the expectations, aligning your team with your own goals as your team leader or team manager goals and expectation is the key. So each one of them will have their own personal goals, the career target path, and so on and so forth. How is that aligned with my expectation, my target for this quarter or year or whatever it is? Are they in alignment? Or if not, so how are we going to find a middle way that we are going to say, okay, let's align on this? So each one of them will come with their own strengths and their own expectation in the career and how to grow and so on and so forth. Is that aligning with the company's expectation or the growth or the future plan? So that is a key. Once you do that, automatically your team will fall in align with what is expected, especially when it comes to, again, coming back to the numbers part of it. They when they know what are the numbers that is being expected. Numbers is again a very very vague number name a word to use right here. I've been overusing it for the last 10 minutes or so, but then it's not the right word, for lack of better word. Yeah, so whatever is expected from the organization, from your team's perspective or from a market standpoint, is the team aligning with the same, is what your question would be, and getting your team aligned is the solution to it.
Got it. Interesting. Yep. So taking a segue there, one of the things you told me is only 5% of the people, I mean, your ICPs are looking for the solution at this point. And yep, that's totally true. And also, when the category is very new, it is even a little more tougher also. In that case, you do a lot of awareness activities across channels, right? In that case, how do you convince your leadership that, dude, you will get the results in 6 months? I mean, of course, in that case, how do you handle that, Ranga? Or what are the different, okay, sometime you pick up a channel, you set the basics there. It takes a month to kick off there, right? I mean, not a month, but now things can be a bit quicker. But again, it takes its own time to pick up and work. In that case, how do you tell them that, dude, I'm doing this for awareness and it'll take some time to get there? And
Right.
how do you handle your CFO or someone in the finance? See,
So I'll take this question in two parts. Okay? The first part is a very generic part of it, where I recently heard Lenny's podcast, one of the episodes, which was the interesting topic was that how to be that influencing person within your organization, especially with your leadership. I don't know if you've got a chance to, but if you find time, please do listen to that
which
particular
episode is
episode.
that? With who?
It's called Influencer. I don't remember the name. It's just one
Okay,
from, I think,
great.
Slack PM. I don't know, product owner from Slack or
I
something.
think
I
the
don't remember
thumbnail
exactly
said
the name.
PM is dead, product management dead. I was like annoyed, then didn't go there. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the entire podcast series is aimed at product managers. So you will see a lot of such thumbnails and clickbaits. But then this particular episode was really interesting, where they talk about how you become an influencing person in the room of leadership. So that is the primary key. You need to build that skill. That's a skill problem where you build a skill of how you influence your leadership, right? So that's a different topic or different ideas that we could probably
We'll have
discuss
one more
later on a
episode for
different
that
episode.
entirely.
Absolutely. So coming to the second part of it, second part, say at a time when you said only 5% of the your buyers are currently actively looking for a solution or a product. That's true. Where 95% of people fall into other different stages of the demand generation. So what I call it as is the top on the top of the funnel where you top of the funnel where they sit is or problem unaware. So basically, who are not aware of the problem. Then comes problem aware, solution unaware.
Unaware.
Then comes solution aware, your product unaware. Then comes your product aware, and then comes your product well aware. So basically, this is how the demand gen awareness funnel looks like, right? So your content mix should be able to talk to people of multiple levels of this funnel. And how do you go about mapping these content pieces to each of these funnel stages is the key. And each of these funnel stages will have a different sets of distribution channels too. It could be a 1:1, or it could be 1:few, or it could be 1:many. 1:1 would be an email, 1:few would be some webinars, 1:many would be an ad or something like that. So these are different distribution channels, and you have your content pieces mapped against each of these channel stages of the funnel, and you go about marketing them in the content and the distribution and the so on and so forth, and you optimize the content for each of the funnel stages. How do you influence, or how do you convince your team or leadership about this is where you be transparent, educate them. I mean, of course, not everyone is ready or have time to come and sit in a room and listen to your story behind it, but you need to make sure that you convince or you influence your leadership in such a way that they believe that you know what you're doing. So you are the right person behind it, you know what you're doing. And each of these stages, the shortest way or the best way or the easiest ways to do this is, for example, the 5% of people who are currently in the market who are ready to buy a product would be showing triggers as a lead form fill, or probably doing an inquiry or filling in a
Yeah.
form on the lead form ad, right?
Yeah.
Whereas that could not be the trigger point for people somewhere in the middle of the funnel, but they would still have some kind of an engagement with your content. They could be liking it, they could be reading it, and that's where products like your factors come into play, where you kind of try to understand the entire user journey on where they first touched our first content piece, and through that journey, whether they have read our email, whether they have met us during the event, or probably read our blog, or viewed our ad, then clicked on it, and then probably someone else from the same organization came into the website. They did a Google search, they came into the website, they filled in the form, and this is how the typical user journey
True. True.
looks like. So why do you have to do that? Why do you have to talk to that 95% of people who are currently not in that? They are not going to actively buy a product, probably 6 months down the lane, or 1 year down the lane, or 2 years down the lane. So why do you have to do that? Is to keep yourself on top of their minds. Have that brand recall value. Brand recall is not like somewhere in the early 2000s or late 90s. Your brand recall value would be defined by how many times someone sees an Airtel brand logo or a RPG logo. That was I mean, the entire brand recall was confined only to the impressions of the logo or the brand assets in someone's view. Whereas now is how easily they are able to, or how quickly they are able to recollect a product or a solution for a particular problem. I'm a leadership, if I'm part of the leadership, and I have to make a decision on one of the problems that I'm having with my organization currently. So what do I do? How do I find products, or how do I find solutions for that? Do I go to Google and search for it? Or probably I have my team, call my team, say, hey, do some research and get back to me.
Yeah.
That could be one set of people.
Yeah.
Or could be someone who has kind of seen your ad somewhere, read your blog somewhere, or someone has referred your brand name to them. Someone would have come up during one of the conversations or the community meetups that they have, and suddenly the name pops up. Something like factors. Like factors, how I started using is something like this. I've gone through their, I've what do you call it? I've consumed their content a lot, but when we needed it at that particular time, when I was reading their blog or seeing their ad, I didn't have a requirement. But I started knowing, like, hey, there is a tool that can do this. But when I started having a requirement for that, like after 2 years, I went back to their website, filled in the form, and became a lead for them, right? So that was just an example. So when a person gets into this 5% of the market ready buyers, they should have your product on top of their mind to recollect and find it as a solution to the problem that they're currently having.
Got it.
So
Got
yeah,
it.
that's
So if I double click on that, ads, you can say, okay, dude, you gave me 50K of budgets, and 25K went on awareness, and these are the number of people checked our website. Or during that ad, when we ran that ad, we see a number of people searching for our particular brand name in Google or any other. You can say that. I mean, how do you, I mean, present it is something, just want to, because you know that these are the people who are seeing you will land in that 5%. That 5% keep changing. You will, in that case, how do you tell them that, okay, this is the X budget. I need 50% of it, or like 40% of it for doing the awareness side of things. How does that happen?
I get it. See, I wouldn't even call it awareness. So that's why I've been very particular in not using
Okay.
the word awareness here.
Right. Right.
So, because awareness is a very, very vaguely and widely used term, which actually doesn't really resonate on the right meaning of the word. So, anything which is not lead driven is now called awareness. Whereas there are multiple layers to it. When
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said
True.
there are multiple stages to the
Yeah. Yeah.
demand gen funnel, each of the layer will need to do an awareness. Like for example, for someone who is not who are problem unaware, I need to make them aware of the problem first. Someone who has knows the solution is there but don't know your product, you need to be educating them on what the product is, right? So all this comes under awareness. So I would say this 5% of the people who are currently in the in the market, how do you find them in a B2B ABM style of motion? I would say I have like a 250 list of companies, a thousand list of 1,000 companies which I have to target from
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
tab. So how do I know people from this organization is currently in the 5%, right? So this is how I go about dividing my budget into the different stages of awareness, I mean different stages of the funnel and the distribution channels and things. I'm not a big fan of clearly saying that this percentage of your budget has to go into this 5% of buyers, targeting this 5% of buyers for direct lead capture or demand capture. There is no specific rule to it, so it depends on the market. How do you go about it is trying to understand when it comes to, again, going back to the B2B example that I want to give. There are the 1,000 companies that are part of my target accounts this year. Okay. So how do I go about finding which 5% of the companies or X percentage of the companies are currently actively looking for a product like ours?
Yeah.
So in couple of companies, I mean couple of organizations before that I was working somewhere around 2020, we went about doing this. We had one BDR, one SDR,
Okay.
who spent like one full quarter talking and calling up on these people, the same 1,000 accounts, just to identify which part of their funnel they are in.
Right. Right.
Right? This idea could sound very simple, very straightforward, very old school, or probably someone would come and say, "Hey, I have like so many AI tools to do this," or but is it really being implemented? I hardly see anyone actively saying that, hey, these are my 1,000 target accounts and this percentage of people are currently actively looking for it. This many people do not even have an idea that there is a problem that they are with the current system, so on and so forth. That these are the different buyer stages they are in. No, they don't know. They have multiple AI tools which could probably do it. Probably an extension with cloud and good prompting skills could help you do that. How good are these signals? Even your third party signals. Forget about people who are engaging with your content.
Yeah.
Forget the first party
First
signals.
person.
Think about third party signals, how good they are, how valid they are. But this was pre AI, I would say. I mean, not pre AI. It was when the AI kind of the chat GPT era just started. But we didn't really want to rely on AI, or we didn't even know, to be really honest, that we could do such thing with AI. We had this one person who spent one full quarter just calling up to these 1,000 people, right, emailing them, reaching out to them on LinkedIn, trying to understand which part of the journey they are from. For each of the funnel, part of the stages of the funnel, we had a set of questions that they would ask. Based on those questions, they would be categorizing them as this. So the reason why I was very particular about the number 5% is that usually I'm not a big fan of throwing in just numbers, because we cannot just come and say the data says or the survey says or the your legend says or something of that sort. So that's a very vague, it's very overused way of saying things. The reason I was very particular about this 5% is that it's not just this part, this exercise that I just mentioned, that also gave out just 5% of people who are actively looking for a product.
God.
So apart from this, there are also other cases where we have seen this 5% happening, and the same 5% apparently. There is also another podcast. I forgot the name. They're called B2B. Forgot the name. B2B marketers or something.
Okay.
So they also pulled up the same number, saying 5% are the active buyers in the market. So yeah, that's how I kind of found out that this is the list of people who are falling into these many stages of the
Stages.
funnel, and then accordingly I would be allocating the budget for based on the
Those
content and
accounts.
based on the what kind of narrative or the messaging or the channels that we are going to distribute for each of these stages.
Got it. That's an interesting activity, right? So even we pulled out all the accounts we are working with recently and
Mm-hmm.
try to understand which are the industries who are bit more forward in tech, uh,
Mm-hmm.
who's ready to adapt new tech. Then we found, okay, these two three industries is good, and okay, let's align our efforts towards that. So yeah, so interesting activity. Okay, and I think one of the other things you told me is Liver Day as your ICP, right? Like you said, this activity is kind of towards that. Yeah, you try to talk to them and understand what are their, what stage are they in, how much.
Mm.
Not exactly. Yeah, I'm not exactly. Yeah,
Not exactly.
yeah,
These are like two different things. This we have spoken about, where they try to understand which part of their buyer's journey or the demand funnel they are in. Currently, this keeps changing. Whereas the
even
second part that we're talking,
people in the company, the people in the company have different awareness towards the product.
absolutely, absolutely. So we'll be talking to the key decision makers. These are like basically psychological insights that we'll be getting from the service that we are running, right? So one person would say, "Yeah, I want to buy a product tomorrow." Same organization, someone would say, "We don't even have a problem. Why do you have to change the system?" So this would be confusing. Would I put that particular account into problem unaware or someone who is very closer to the purchase point,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So that's a very that's a psychological kind of insights that you inference that you need to get from the numbers that you are getting through the survey. But yeah, that's a secret. How do I find out which part of the which stage of the funnel they are in? Coming to the second question that you asked about knowing your ICP really well. So it's not just about knowing your ICP really well. So going back to my creative part of my career, I used to write scripts for short films or stage plays. I was part of a theatrical club and things like that. So where if you have to write a particular role for a character, I don't know how do you watch Tamil movies or something. I like the way a character is being portrayed and how deep a character's nuances is being displayed on the screen and how strongly the character has been written. A character writing is something very important in
yeah.
any
True.
kind of creative story, be it your movies or your ads to your simple blog. When you're creating a persona or a character, which is important to know them in depth. When I say in depth, initially when knowing your ICP was a big thing. The four P's of your marketing started when you say you need to know your ICP. This is how your demographics will look like. There's also this famous template on LinkedIn which comes, right,
Okay.
comparing an Apple Watch to a crocodile watch.
Oh, okay,
This
okay.
one
I didn't know
gives
that. Yeah.
a comparison pages. Typically, how
Okay.
a comparison page looks like. There's a
Right,
template
right.
meme template that
Uh,
goes viral on LinkedIn, where they were focusing only on the demographics. Say a male of age 25 to 45, who has an income of so and so, who lives in the city tier A cities. This is how they were defining their ICP at a point. Then came an evolution of that where we started looking into their behavioral traits. Someone who catches the bus at 8 a.m. in the morning, someone who uses a private car or personal cars to commute to the office, someone who wears a particular brand to coming to office, someone who wears a blazer every day to coming to office. So these are all behavioral traits. So beyond that, is that enough currently, is the question. So when this question came up, uh, so how do I actually find who my ICP is, or not even who my ICP? I might know my ICP would be probably earlier when I was working with Animaker. My ICP was the leaders in L&D department, learning and
okay.
development departments from enterprises, mid market plus or enterprises. So that's what my ICP was. But how do I write content for them? I'm not an L&D person. We didn't have a L&D team at all in the organization. How do I know what language should I use? So what is the tone that I should be talking? What are the keywords that I need to be using in my messaging, or even the script or any kind of messaging for that matter? That was the question. So my solution to that was, until you start living a life a day as your ICP. So how do I do that is the
Yeah.
next question. But
Next question.
until you do that, how do I do that? Sorry. Do I have to do that? Yes, you have to
Yes,
do
yeah.
that. So how do I do that is the next question, where you start talking to people. When I start talking to people, not like a survey, not like a questionnaire, not like you pick up the call and say, "Hey, can I ask you a few questions?" It won't work out. So you need to become a part of their what do you call ecosystem. to understand a lot of things, you need to be knowing their inside jokes. How do their regular day look like? How do they work? What are the tools they are working on? Do they work on a browser or work on an application? Do they come to office and work? Do they sit at home and work? Or what are the kind of jokes they crack with each other? What are the jokes they have on other departments? For example, marketing would have a set of jokes on sales, like they do not understand product. Likewise, marketing would have a set of jokes on product too,
Product.
that they do not understand the market, right, or the business. So these are set of things that as a marketer I would know. But if I have to use these things when it comes to an L&D, I might not know. So until you are part of the ecosystem where you gel with them, you go into their community. So we started doing this. We
Okay.
started building, replicating a small, lean L&D team within the organization.
Got it.
So we wanted to kind of came onboarded a consultant, a L&D consultant, who played a role of building this department within the organization. Where we also, I mean, it wasn't a huge team, just one person who was training the other, maybe product marketers, and someone who could probably train the sales team and sales enablement team and the
Got it.
customer facing team to talk and be that L&D person. So when you are cracking a joke, when you are starting doing a small talk before a demo, you should talk about something that they resonate on,
Mm.
right? Same thing with a messaging, email copy. So these things we started including words and the keywords and the messaging and the jokes or whatever it is from the communications that we are having with the L&D consultant.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I meant by living a day as.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it has more to it. I think I've again you overused the word inside jokes, but then that was one of the key things which came up because this was used as part
That
of
is the
our
depth you are
small
saying, right?
talks.
Inside jokes is one of the depth you
Exactly.
say. Yeah.
True.
So I think when regarding what we spoke, one of the things I believe is one founder, at least one founder in the org, should be from what you are building. Imagine you are building for finance, and one of the founders from finance can understand the problems to the depth. That is something I believe. If not the founders, at least a couple of people in the founding team should have that in the background. So
Hmm.
that makes things a lot simpler. That takes the arc to the in the right direction, right? Of course, that is one of the things I used to do. But other things,
That's very true.
what I'm trying to do here at my org is like trying to join 1 2 meetings a week, sales meetings or even the activation meetings. What happens? What are we doing in the onboarding? So trying to understand. Don't have not getting right insight every time, but all this goes to the mind, and we come up with different content or solution later at the time. So
True.
yeah, this is something interesting.
Yeah, that's a thing about PMMs, right? Like product marketing. So there's always a confusion whether the product marketing has to sit under marketing or product. Then there is this thing where there a good amount of communication between the product and the CS. So that's where I was speaking to one of the founders recently of a new product. He's just launched this product. The team is hardly about 30, 40 odd people now currently. Majority of them are developers. This AI tool, what it does is it listens to your calls. It's not the sales training agent. That's very cliched now. Everyone built a sales training agent which listens to the call and trains your sales team. But this is purely from a PMM angle, product marketing angle. So it helps you build the content collateral based on the conversations that you are having with your ICPs or your sales calls or the demos or whatever leads that you are talking to. So it can make you listen to not just your sales call, but any call that you are having, probably a webinars that you are having with your ICPs. So based on these conversations, the language they are using and the terms they are using, to the tones and the actual requirements, the actual problems they are facing, this helps PMM to build the right content for sales to sell. I mean, sales adopting it or not is a different question altogether. That's a different problem
True,
to
true,
have.
true.
But then
Yeah.
product marketers using such a tool to build, the right collateral is something that was really interesting to
When
talk
two
about with.
marketers sitting and talking about things, we may end up offending other folks. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that can be done a simple workflow, Ranga? Because if you look at all the meetings that happens, right? Maybe I'm from a very early stage background. I could see there are like easily 4 to 5 different types of meeting happens every week, and you pull that data and put it in a sheet or whatever. then you can bring that in whatever your Cloud or GPT. So, do you think a tool is needed for that? And
Really.
not really, right? Yeah. So,
Yeah,
how
the
are you
idea.
handling that in Pixar or in other companies your friends work?
So yeah, I'll tell you about a very interesting thing about Pixar. At Pixar, as I said, is a partner-led GTM.
Yeah, yeah.
So we do not directly sell to customers. We go through partners, and an average sales cycle or an onboarding cycle for a partner is about 8 to 10 months. It
Oh,
is as low as 6 months. It goes to
okay,
as high as 2.5 years.
okay.
So that's the kind of partnerships
Then
that
how
we have.
long a partner will take to onboard their customer? I mean, you do look at that, or yeah,
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. We do enable the partners as well. Partner
yeah,
enablement, the partner managers are exclusive teams which handles these specific partners. When I say partnerships, these are not companies which are doing like a few millions in ARR every year. So we are partnering with enterprises who are like a public, globally present in more than 20 countries, kind
got
of
it,
partners, right?
got it.
So to answer your question, is one call enough to understand their insights? No.
No,
As I said, average sales cycle goes on for six months. Minimum is 6 months. Average is about 8 to 10 months, right? So I might have to keep building my knowledge, keep building or training my GPT or any
yeah,
kind of models in such a way that it keeps taking in the information and not just throwing out content. This is what they need. No, there would be a lot of assumption in that case. So idea here is, the key here is to kind of feed in the model with the right information, which could probably needs more patient, especially in our case, to kind of keep building the information that you need, and then feeding it to engine like Claude or your GPTs to kind of build, try to understand. Because see, humanly it's impossible for someone to remember what their requirements are
not at
over a
all. Yeah,
period of 8 or 10 months,
yeah,
right?
not at all.
Probably if someone comes today, tells me their requirement, and they are ready to buy tomorrow or sometime a week's time, so I probably remember what they want and probably try to replicate it, create a collateral or a sales deck for someone who is very look-alike that particular prospect. So that's very easy. But so when your sales cycle goes on for 8 to 10 months and you have multiple calls and multiple in-person sessions as well, so it's not just calls, it's not digital always. So we meet these people multiple times during events. So next week we are going for an event. Last couple
Right,
of months back we were in Florida again for an event. So we meet the same set of people multiple times. So that's what builds trust. And not
got it.
every time we'll be able to digitize the conversations that we are having at that time. So the best we could do is put in our CRM entry on the discussion points that we have had and try to feed the same to the AI engine.
Yeah, yeah.
Apart from the digital calls, or I mean the online calls, these are also some touch points that we will be adding it to our GPTs to understand, analyze, and build relevant
Hey, what do you
conversations.
think? I'm just taking a tangent here. I mean, like you said, you can't record any calls that is happening physically. There is another pendant recently trending in
Right.
SF. So, do you think people will start using that? I know. I mean, that's a pure privacy thing, right? I can't
Yeah,
have a
it's an ethical
pendant.
thing,
What do you think? Like,
obviously.
you go. I mean, even though you talk with some business people, you will have your personal things there also. You might diss your boss there. They might do the same. So, I mean,
Right.
in that case, do you think these things become a future sometime, or what do you think?
I'm not sure if wearing a pendant would be the right solution to it. But then, yeah, this is a very good use case because we have found a problem there ourselves. So we have to come back. We don't even remember. We meet about 70, 80 people in a meeting, and we cannot come back remember each and every conversation that we have to fill in the CRM, right? So probably the most ethical way to do it would be to get permission from them, saying, "Hey, I'd like to record this conversation so that I can go back and continue from where we left, and instead of just trying to discover you or qualify you again from beginning." So get the permission from them. Have your phone or something, a recorder or small device that you can use to record the conversation. You can probably mention the name, company name, the person name, and the title along with what you are doing and when we are meeting at this point, date, and so on. So, and then you go ahead recording the conversation, and probably you use that conversation for your.
So you tried that, Ranga, before by
Not
recording?
really so
Not
far.
really.
Not really so far. Probably that's a good idea. Probably next week I should be able to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Now I just want to go a little deep on the partner-led GTM. Right? Like you said, you work with a lot of enterprises and white label Twixer there. In that case, it's totally a different game, right? You don't. I mean, the decision maker is different. How are they going to take? I mean, white label Twixer to their customers also, it's a different thing. How are you enabling them is a different thing. So can you take me through, take me this process linearly, what happens and how are
Yeah.
you helping them?
Right, right. So typically, if you see our funnel, it's a very unique funnel where you have the funnel starting from here, it narrows down and it goes like this.
Okay.
So from here, where I say, for example, a few telcos that we have partnered with,
Mm.
some huge names there. So we meet them. We have multiple touch points. We write emails. We have multiple calls. We make them meet them during events. They watch our they see our ads. They see download our case studies, use cases. There are multiple touch points, and they keep pushing through the funnel. At a point, once the trigger happens, when I say trigger, a point where we involve sales, right? Basically, sales. I'll say call it sales for lack of better
Okay.
word here.
Yeah.
A trigger point when we involve sales, and the sales stage starts where there is a first demo booked and then agreement signed, NDA signed, so on and so forth, at a point where they are onboarded as a partner. Okay, typically in a regular B2B GTM, this is where your funnel ends. After this, your CS takes over,
Yeah.
and it's about retention, renewal, and so on
Yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah.
But from here is where Twixer starts making money.
Mm.
So partner gets onboarded. Now the partner managers come into picture, not the customer success people. The partner managers are the ones who will enable the partners to take our solutions to their enterprise clients.
Okay.
So either acquire new clients or upsell their solution to their existing clients. So this is when we have a stage called GTM. So GTM is basically go-to-market strategy, but not ours, but our partners, right? So we partner managers work with our partners through this GTM phase to build a GTM for their business to take our solution under their brand to the market and acquire new enterprise clients.
One question, you run ads for your partners
No, no,
or
no, we don't do.
you don't do?
We don't. Currently, we are not doing. Probably depends on the agreement that we are having. It's all one is to one. So see, when I say partners or enterprise partners, not a single two partners will have agreement which are alike. So it all depends on the conversations that we are having. It's all more of a very case to case basis. It's not like I have standard procedures. This is the set of things that I can deliver. This is what I delivered X. This is what I'm going to deliver to the same Y. That's not how it works. So it all depends on what they want, what we want. Are we doing a PR? Are they doing a PR? Are they going to be announcing to the world that we are partnering with Rixer? So on. Each and every smallest of points is actually captured in the agreement, and it varies case to case.
Got it. So once the partner is onboarded, partner managers take care of enabling them. So now the partners go to the market and say, "Hey, I mean, we have the solution," and I mean, they onboard them. Partner managers from Twixer take care of all the enablement, all the meetings that happens and everything. And once the deal happens, both of you take your whatever the
Again,
agreement
depends
says,
on
right?
case to case.
Yeah.
It case to case. In certain agreements, it will say that we will take care of all the your enterprise onboarding. In certain cases, certain partners will be like, we will handle the onboarding. You just train us on how to go about it.
Right. Right.
So they won't even involve us during the onboarding. It all depends on the agreement.
So in this case, usually, okay, white labeling is one more layer, but usually partnerships being, it'll be in the mix of all your channels. It'll be one of your channel to bring in customers.
Correct.
What was the decision at Twixer to be partner first? Because we've seen companies who went organic first or outbound first. I mean, if you look at their, it is up to the founders and the demand gen leaders working there. So, what made Twixer take the partnership route?
That's where your GTM strategy comes into picture, right? The two examples that you gave, which is organic and outbound led. For example, Animaker was purely at initial stages was purely organic led. So the keywords that we are targeting were all directly for consumers. There were like millions of traffic coming in every month, and we were able to capitalize on that. It's a pure PLG driven GTM. Whereas my previous company at Truno was more of outbound first. Emails, LinkedIn ads, and basically calling. All this put together worked in tandem to get the clients. The how do you go about deciding on which GTM strategy will work for you is to have a deep understanding about your market. and your end customers. Is my end customer ready to trust a new player in the market? Is he ready to trust? Are they ready to trust a startup, or are they fine with going with a huge telecom partners? Or even the solution could be very niche. For example, your solution could be very niche, right? When you take it to a customers, there will always be this friction or one resistance to start using your product. Whereas, say if you are partnering with Google, when you say partner you're into your product is into marketing, right? So you partner with Google, and Google says that we have a tool which we are white label, or they don't say, for example, they are white label your solution, and they are giving as a small minor fee to their people who are using Google ads. The think of the adoption that it will have, your product will have.
Yeah, yeah.
It was as simple as that. So trying to understand your market, trying to understand our own limitations, our own challenges. Say for example, especially Twixer, the market that we are into telecom market. Okay, so people are into like SMS,
Hmm.
RCS, and WhatsApp communications, your calling, or different kinds of voice. So these are the different streams of the channels in which we operate in. All these need local manpower or local influence. For example, in India there is Airtel, Geo, and BSNL, and Vodafone. Okay, if you are having Geo, probably if you are going to the US, it might be turned. It will turn into a different brand name there.
Yeah, yeah.
Geo won't work there, or probably Airtel in Africa won't work, or Africa works and Australia won't work. For example, these are kind of partnerships. So these telecom usually is very region specific and country specific. So if we are in this space and we have to go global, it's practically impossible for us to have sales team or the entire ops team working across multiple regions. I cannot have an Australia office, I cannot have a Mia office, I cannot have America's office, where they specialize only in that particular region in terms of getting the what do you call bandwidth or the fiber net or the partnerships with rest of the other things, local numbers, so on and so forth. Instead, it was easy for us to find partners here and who already have the infrastructure
Hmm.
within that particular country or regions, who
Right,
could directly sell our product to their existing customers.
right. Got it. Got it. Yeah.
So it all depends on trying to clearly understanding your market, what your
Hmm.
customers needs, and how easy it is to overcome the frictions or your barriers or your resistance, and how efficiently you are going to optimize your opex and your capex to reach to these end customers.
Got it. Interesting. So understanding market is the key point, and also understanding your strengths and weakness will be the second point of that.
Correct.
Because got it. Okay, one inevitable question. Of course, we have to talk about it. We'll keep talking about it for next few years also, I guess. How AI changed your workflow, your team structure, and their. Can you maybe go a little detail on that? Your team, what they do, and how AI changed in their work in last 3 months.
Right.
And if you could go, give us a list of your tool stack. That would be great.
Sure. Okay, so let me not just confine myself to just the last 3 months. I'll probably take you through a different phases of AI evolution. I'll say probably from 2021, when this again a huge chat GPT thing happened. Every tool usually have this. Every tool or every new idea in the market will have different stages where something comes, it revolutionizes. It says the word revolution is again. I'm not a big fan of using that word. It kind of it's a talk of the town, right? So everyone starts using it. The adoption increases. Same thing, something like a narrative of Zohos. So everyone starts talking about it. Everyone downloads it. There is a huge adoption initially. After that, it kind of subsides, right?
Mm,
One good thing about AI, or something which was really revolutionary, is that it sustained
mm, true.
because it took multiple forms. AI was a very high level idea to it. AI is now being said as, do you use AI? Everyone uses AI. Like it's just become part of
AI has
our
become, yeah,
life. Yeah, it's not just work life. It's part of our what do you call a regular
life, right?
outside work life as well. Like groceries, I used ChatGPT recently to kind of
Oh.
build my grocery list. Because I might miss out on few things. I was like, I've got everything, but I kind of felt I was missing out on something. I just went to ChatGPT, asked it to list down the list of grocery that I might need
Mm,
for a household like ours. So it's kind of become a part of our regular work life. That's because it has taken multiple forms. I would even look back at rephrasing this question as which form of AI or which scope do you use AI in? Because AI is, again, it's like saying, do you use internet?
Yeah, it's a very broad question
It's
now.
like asking that, right? It's like, do you use internet? How internet has impacted? Yeah, internet has become like a thing, right?
I'm
It's
asking
become
that
like a part of our
2023
work.
question now. Okay.
Probably, but then yeah, that's true. That's true because there is no other right way to put it. Also, so if you ask me to rephrase that question, I might not have an answer to it. So, but somehow I feel that AI as a whole has become part of our regular work
Life.
life for
Yeah.
sure. And but one thing which has impacted big time is the hiring, especially leadership's view on hiring. That is the, I would say, the biggest impact that AI has created. I wouldn't say impact, but it's a turbulence or a disturbance that it has created.
Yeah, true.
I think that idea of uh, AI impacting hiring, especially with the leadership, will take a different form or evolve into something else few years later, or probably a year later. Even it has already started, that the second phase has already started, where founders have started seeing that, okay, hiring or reducing my hiring or freezing my hiring or stopping my hiring because of AI is not working out. That
Okay.
is started, that second phase has started.
Okay.
The first phase being, okay, there is, hey, should I even hire? That phase is kind of dying.
Okay.
The early adopters of AI has started thinking the other way around now.
Hmm.
In what scope or what roles should I be using AI, and for what roles I need a human, or for what roles I need a human who's good at AI.
Mm. Got
So
it.
that is the thought shift people have started having already. Okay, so probably I would probably want to take us both back to 2023 and answer this question. That would be a simple way of answering, saying, hey, AI is here. It is going to impact hiring. It's going to take a lot of jobs out, and retaining the kind of evolution that AI has had in 2003. For example, now whatever AI is currently, the evolved form of it, if it is there in 2023, our mindset would have been, okay, I'm going to stop hiring. I'm going to have Cloud integrated with all my tools. I have a lot of connectors. I have like third party connectors now which can actually connect with my search console and your
Yeah.
Google Analytics also now,
Yeah.
right? So we have third party connectors who could connect this with my cloud, which is going to run my entire SEO and ad ops, Google ad ops. Why should I hire an agency? Why should I hire a SEO person? Why should I hire a content writer? I wouldn't be hiring at anyone at all. This is from a purely on a leadership standpoint, I'm saying. But of course, we have the mid management, which is still fighting with the leadership on, we need people who would want to run that AI, who knows to run AI. Again, that answer is again very, very vague and very surface level, because the reason why I wanted to keep this answer very surface level is because I wanted to go horizontal. If we take just one piece of it, probably we can dig deeper and find more interesting facts and points.
Okay. What are the different tools you onboard in a year?
See, there is this framework that I use called AND.
Sorry.
AND framework. AND.
Okay. A&D. Okay.
AND framework. It stands for brand, demand, and expand. So
Okay.
brand, brand awareness, your brand activities, and demand generation, demand capture. Thirdly is the expand part, where your existing customers, and say, for example, in our case, partner led, how to get more enterprise customers for our partners. Or for direct B2B, it would be more in terms of how to retain it, how to upsell it to our existing customer, how to expand, how to reduce the churn, so on and so forth. That is the expand part of it. My usual tool stack is divided among the three categories. For
Awesome.
brand, what are the list of tools that I'm going to use? And what is the budget time that I'm going to give for tools, budget percentage for tools for this particular brand segment?
Yeah.
And for expand, what are the list? My GTM, my your email marketing, or your LinkedIn automation, or your LinkedIn ads, or your prospecting tools, or your clays and your GTM tools come into demand. Whereas for brand, it will be more in terms of my PR spends and the PR platforms, and your more in terms of social listening tools and the social tools and the creative tools, so on and so forth for branding. When it comes to expand, what are the communication tools? What are the tools that I'd be wanting to create right content for my expansion of my clientele? my revenue, so on and so forth. But the tool section with the expand is very minimal. It is more of a people game there, especially when it comes to direct B2B. Forget about our case here. Direct B2B, it's about the CSM's role to retain, upsell, and reduce churn with
Hmm.
respect to the existing customers, whereas tool is mostly for brand and expand. To name a few tools that we are currently using, at Twixer, I've used multiple tools across the last 10 years or so.
Hmm.
When it comes to email, let's talk about, probably start from prospecting. I've used discover.org,
Okay.
which again later became Zoom Info.
Okay. Okay. I
Discover
didn't know
became
that.
Zoom Info. Yeah, basically it was discover.org in 2015
Okay.
16. I was
Right.
using it since then. Then Lucia, Apollo. Now I'm using something called Sales
Yeah.
Gear.
Okay.
So these are all for prospecting. I've used Sales Nav, of course. LinkedIn Sales Nav I'm using. Then we have email Sales Gear takes care of. LinkedIn automation LinkedIn Sales Gear takes care of. That's with respect to the GTM part. Then we have Zoho campaigns for existing users campaigns, newsletters and things. We have Zoho CRM. We have the entire Zoho suite, by the way.
Why?
At Twixer, we have the entire Zoho suite.
Why?
It's been there for like ages, and it's
Were
not
you
a
okay
great
with that,
idea to
Ranga?
disrupt. Sorry.
Were you okay with Zoho suit? I mean, you liking it?
See, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. What is the cost, or what if I have to change the tool? Say I'm going to introduce HubSpot or a Salesforce. Okay. What is the kind of cost that I would be paying? Not the tool cost here. Not the tool cost. Not the tool cost. See, I would be paying $10K here. Probably I'd be paying $20K there. But I'm not talking about this $10K difference. So the kind of cost that I'm talking about is to disrupt the entire system. The system has been in place for so many years. The same thing that I apply for other companies as well. So I'm not going to go into a new company, especially from a senior management or a, what do you call, a kind of a leadership role, little lower than leadership role, and go say that I'm going to disrupt the entire system. I'm going to kind of remove all the tools that we're currently using and introduce new tools. That's the kind of cost that you would be paying. The kind of, not just the money. Your leadership will be okay with it if you give a convincing answer. If you make a point for yourself, make a case for yourself, saying this is the reason why I don't want this tool. I want to go with this tool. Your leadership will be okay with it. But then down the line, so you use months together, you use resources together, you have your entire team working on it, migration. You have your entire CRM data that needs to be migrated to a new CRM. There are multiple other tools which are integrated and customized based on the current system. Those needs to be migrated. Probably the huge gap would be there with respect to the integration. That could be technical problem. There could be implementation problem. So this would cost me in terms of the resources and the time.
True.
So the best way is to find a way around with the existing tool stack, and how subtly or minutely you are going to tweak it in such a way it get optimized. So optimizing is the right word, and not revamping. When you say optimizing the tool stack, how efficiently I'm going to remove the peripheral tools from our existing system and replace it with more efficient systems, and not replace the entire system as such with a new system. That's how I look at things.
Yeah. Yeah. Since you have a suit there, it is very hard for you to do a migration,
Correct.
and you will
Exactly.
have to, I mean, slow down a bit on the other activities and do this. It's better to work on the things that brings an impact, right? I mean, more than.
Absolutely.
Got it. Got it. Yep. So yeah, I mean, we'll finish the tool stack. I mean, you said you're talking about enrichment
Yes.
tools, then you came to Zosuit. Yeah, after that.
The CRM, I mentioned email marketing, now sales gear. I've used Outreach in the past, Outplay. I've used Apollos as well. My previous company, we just started comparing instantly and smartly, which apparently we did not end up buying any of those. But I really want to start using smartly or instantly sometime. Apparently, I've heard really good reviews or feedback about them. That's with respect to my GTM. Of course, SEMrush for my SEO. Google's own tools of analytics, GA4, and then Search Console for SEO. And ads, of course, ads I use for my own native platforms. I do not use any third party. Socials, I do not have anything. Hootsuite I was using for social listening a couple of organizations back, but then I didn't really take it forward after that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? What else? What are the tools that I would use? Email marketing I covered. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hmm.
And I have a cloud paid subscription. I have a chat.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the MarTech stack, right? Recently, one of the additions I'm hearing is Clay. After that, we are still using the legacy tools. And of course, they are doing really good. I'm not saying, but the adoption is there only around the general purpose AI tools. I mean, the Claude and GPT.
Mm.
publicity in some
Mm.
cases. Interesting. Yep. So with that, one more question. I'll wind this episode, Ranga. So who will be that next two, three people you want to? I mean, you want me to host in the?
So let me nominate here. I would want you to talk to Sharan from
Okay.
Zadal.
Okay.
Sharan Suresh from Zadal. Probably I'll also tag him in the LinkedIn post that I'm writing here. You can talk to Lakshman.
Okay.
Lakshman from Dadan. DADAN.
DADA Daran. Okay. I haven't heard of.
DADAN. It's a I think a Saudi based company. He's
Right.
working from Saudi. Very interesting person. You can find really good insights from him. Third one would be him.
Okay.
He gives you a very enterprise-ish perspective to marketing.
Okay.
How product marketing, I mean, product marketing in a product company and marketing in a service company is very, he has experience with. Him, Muralidharan, share his these three LinkedIn profiles with you. I think these three
So
would be my
yeah, if you're in touch
suggestions.
with them, can you maybe put a message to them? That would be really helpful.
Absolutely. Sure.
Awesome,
Definitely
Ranga.
will do.
Okay, with that, we'll wind this episode. Thank you so much. Great talking to you. Thank you, Ranga.
Likewise. Very interesting
Yeah.
conversations. Thank you.
Yes.